Welcome and good evening. Thank you for joining me for No to Patterns Live, where we chat with community leaders, entrepreneurs, family, and passionate individuals who believes in changing the narrative. Tonight we chat with Oneta Modern, restaurant owner, entrepreneur, and co-founder of Jaden's Ladder, a survivor group for victims of domestic violence. Oneta has been voted by Glamour magazine and Sally Hansen as one of the foremost inspirational women in America and beauty pageant winner who has represented the state of New Hampshire. So grab your blanket and a cup of tea and join me in welcoming Oneta. Welcome, Oneta.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Corey.
You're welcome. We're going to jump right in and go ahead and just tell us who you are and what you do.
Oh my gosh, who am I? I don't even know. I'm my stepdaughter's telling me I'm Oneta Modern. And, Love it, Modern. I own a restaurant right now with my family called the Office Lounge in Rye, New Hampshire. And like you said, I've started a nonprofit. I love this area and will do anything to help this area with the people here. They've been so kind. And you know, we just opened up a restaurant in Rye, which is great, called The Office. And I've done a lot of little businesses in between.
Great. Now, are you originally from New Hampshire? Or
I grew up in New Hampshire, but I was born in South Korea. Okay. And then my dad came here during the Air Force when there was an Air Force here. So it was pretty cool. Growing up, I've seen a lot of changes in the Seacoast area since then. So.
Yeah, good. Now, what has been your experience as you said, you had a couple businesses here and there. And what has been your experience as a woman of color own business here in the state of New Hampshire?
I think there's only two of us. But yeah, there's not many. And you know what's interesting is that I really didn't even go about it that way. If anybody that knows me, I just attack anything that I want to do and try to go into figuring out what to do, whether it's the nonprofit of Jaden's Ladder, just kind of like without even understanding how hard it is to open up a nonprofit. Me and my crew just did it. And obviously you were part of the crew with Jared and my whole A team. But then on top of that, just even with the restaurant was the same thing. It was serendipitous that I found this restaurant. I had owned a couple of restaurants before, figured out what not to do, and just kept pushing through, And one of my biggest things that I try to tell people when they ask, a direction into going anywhere is sometimes you have to fail forward. You move forward. Every time that there is a failure, you can't stop the failures from happening. And if you learn from it, you just fail forward and proceed and then, be successful.
So what is like one thing that you have like really learned in your process of failing forward? Like what is the one thing that sticks out the most to you?
It's loyalty. Yeah. Whether it's on my personal life or business life and failing in all those aspects, is that just to really look at who stays with you up, but when you're up and when you're down. And when you do come out of all that negativity and the failure part of it, the success part of it is so pure and so beautiful because you've surrounded yourself with these people that are on your side. When they have your back, they really have your back. And so that's what I've learned about failing forward is just like really taking care of the ones that were with you from, at the bottom rung of the ladder to the top rung of the ladder. So,
right. Speaking of ladders, in your nonprofit sector of Jaden's Ladder, did you feel like once you started that organization, it was much needed here in the community of
Courtney, it's much needed everywhere, right? Every time I turned around, and including myself, I was a victim of domestic violence. And and when you look at people and hear people's stories, when you're everywhere, when you're in Atlanta, when you're in Florida, when you're in California, New York, everybody has that same story. Yeah, and when I was pregnant with Jaden here, and hence Jaden's ladder, I realized that you wouldn't think that a community such as Rye would have such, abuse going on.
Mm-hmm.
But there's different levels of abuse. There's emotional, there's financial, there's physical. And we have it all here in our community. And it was great to be able to help a lot of these women, rich or poor.
Mm-hmm.
And to see them even today, it's been 18 years, and to see that we've helped over 300 families. Jaden's Ladder right now, that chapter is closed in my life. And we've, also started a sub foundation called Ballers to Scholars, which my son started, helping, inner city kids get scholarships, and which I'm really, really proud of him for. However, it's like you look at today, and I see these women at the, I'll be at the supermarket, I'll be at a business meeting, and somebody will pull me aside and go, "You helped us. Jaden's Ladder helped us, and this is why my family's here. This is why my family owns a house," and it really means something, because it's going back to your first question. Not to have fear, and just if you have a dream of doing something, whether it's opening up a nonprofit, opening up your own business, doing a TV show, don't have fear, just go for it.
Yeah, you gotta do it.
Yeah, and then it helps so many. You don't know who you helped along the way. Yeah,
right. And I'm just thinking like almost 400 families. That's a lot of people over the span. What you said, 18 years?
18 years, and we had like an Atlanta division. That's where I met you, and we had a Massachusetts a division, and then obviously where my heart is in the Seacoast area, and then it was just we moved women all over the country, kept a lot of families safe. We helped with their education so that they, that proverb, if you teach a man to fish, right, and that was our motto. Instead of just giving somebody something, teach them how to do something. So we supported their educational, endeavors so that they can just go on and do what they wanted to do. We have a lot of nurses in the program. We had a nurses specifically program called the Treasure Fund, off of Treasure Ganaw, who was killed in Maine, and her sister is part of our family, and we started a nurses scout scholarship for her. So we've helped a lot of people, and now they're helping others.
Yeah, and and you're still helping people. Although you've closed that chapter of Jaden's Ladder, now you move into something more. Not more passionate, but just as passionate about basketball, from ballers to scholars. Now, how did that come about? Because, as you know, my kids are in basketball as well. And it's just that thing. I think it's that special connection. Once you have your son, he's in that sport, and you see that passion that he puts into it, the work that they put into it, the hustle and bustle. And then for you to spin off of that and create this organization, it's just amazing. Now, how do you recruit the kids? What are the requirements for the kids to come into?
That's Jaden. That's my son. He's going to Middlebury College this year. He got recruited for basketball. I'm so proud of him. And then he chose a great school plus basketball, and that's what the end goal is for all these kids. But it happened during one of my failures. I was going through a divorce, and my son didn't really have brothers and sisters, and he was just he needed an outlet. He was hurting too during my divorce, and I would drive those drives all the way to tournaments to Virginia Beach or to Spooky Nook in Pennsylvania, and you're driving, and we were talking one day, and they're the kids that we're picking up in Everett or Roxbury and in inner city, and they were just like, we wish we could do this. I was like asking them, what's your goal in life? They didn't know to go to college on their own. They knew that basketball would get them to do, better in their life, to get their mom a house. And so I was like, you know what, let's do something. Jaden was like, Mom, can we do something to help, my brothers in basketball? And so he came up with the name, and I still have this slogan and the logo that he did by crayon of Ballers to Scholars, which is, these kids, that's what they bank themselves on, is their talent. But what we try to tell them and support was their educational factor, so that they would study and do well, so that they would pick a great school. One of our kids was into football, not just basketball, but football, and he got out of Everett, came to Rye Junior High, and was one of the star players at Portsmouth, and then now he's going to Hobart playing football. Another is at Connecticut College playing basketball. We have, one's at Kentucky, one's at, it's just pretty amazing. The kids that my son, just from that dream of saying, Mom, can we do this? Support your kids' dreams, support what they want, what their heart desires, and they could save lives, they could help people, and it helped all these kids, and it was amazing. Now they're family. They come and eat with me out of house and home every school break. It's crazy.
Yeah. And, I think about you just saying that. I think back to the experience we had when we first went to nationals.
Yeah.
When you see these kids play, and the talent that's down south is totally different than the talent here. And then you also think about the passion that they leave on the court, because they know that this is their ticket to providing a better opportunities to provide their families homes, and they play that way. Because I told my kids, I was like, we're going to start shipping you guys down south so you can get that hustle, because I sometimes think that when you experience kids, and I've coached a lot of kids, it can be looked at as a privilege, like, or a recreational sport. Like, this is my thing that I do and say that I'm good at. But for another kid, it's totally different. He's here.
Take care of his family.
He's showing up, putting his heart on the court. And when he shows up, he's there to play. And you can really see the difference when you travel to these nationals and these different games, that these kids are really serious about making those steps forward to help prepare for a better future, not only for them, but for their family.
Exactly. And I think one of the biggest things as a basketball or a sports parents, whether you're lacrosse, your baseball, is to take them out of your comfort zone. And, it's nice to go to the high school from here, 3 miles to drive your kid to go to practice, but it's different to take them into Roxbury, or let them play ball with the kids that, like you said, depend on taking care of their families at 10, at 12 years old. Yeah. And it's heartbreaking when you go to Virginia and you go to those tournaments, and these kids, when they get off the field, off the court, and it's that last basket and they lost, they're not thinking they just lost. They're thinking, what am I going to do next? How am I going to support my family? Legit. I mean, like at 13, 14, they're being told that this is their way out. And so what Ballers to Scholars kind of did was to tell them, we always try to tell these kids, don't think to be the basketball player, the NBA player, think to own the team. Yeah. You know what I mean? Think beyond that, because if you're an owner, you're a coach, you can have a career for the rest of your life. At basketball, it could end in college, it could end in high school, it could end in junior high. And so, like, just think beyond that part of the court. There's so many other, and in order to do that, focus on your education. So a lot of what we did, and Jaden did for Ballers to Scholars, was we provided a lot of tutoring, and then we gave them benefits. Like, if you get A's, then we did a trip, or we did this, and they were just, we still have them in our lives. So that, Corey, and it's just so beautiful to see where these boys have come and how they've matured into beautiful men.
And I love that. I love that you have done that. You're continuing to do that. And I'm pretty sure that, as Jaden continues to carry on his legacy, he's setting an example for those kids who look up to him. So that's excellent.
And your boys too, though. Your boys can ball.
Shh, don't say that too loud.
Okay, all right, well, that's the fact.
Now, as we talk about community and building community, and I know that you've shared your stories about how you participated and actually built these, I guess, things that you're known as, things where you reached out, you lent a hand, you reached out and helped people up. Do you think that we need more members in the community doing such things and not, concerned about what it may bring, again, like failing forward?
Yeah, I think honestly, if you live without fear,
Yeah.
Make your decisions without fear, whether you're trying to do something for the community, doing something for yourself. You know, a lot of times what I had to learn after, going through the problems that I had in my divorce was sometimes like I helped so many people, but maybe it's time to help myself. And I told that even to Jaden when he was doing basketball, and we had a team. We had a basketball team, an AAU basketball team called Northeast Finest, and he was playing, and he wasn't starting. And I was like, "Are you sure you want this?" Because he was showcasing his friends and his brothers. And at one point, I said, "You know what, Jaden? We're not gonna do this anymore because I need you to help yourself. I don't want you to always learn. And this is a, I'm sure people are gonna be like, how could she say that?
Yeah.
Not always, when the flight attendant says if you're gonna, crash, take the thing and put it on yourself first and then help the others.
Mm-hmm.
We've always been helping others.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you neglect to help yourself. And so I didn't want to teach my child that, to always help somebody. Yes, he has that in him to help, but you have to help yourself sometimes and take care of yourself. Then you're able to take care of other people more. And I think that's really, really important. And in this society, take care of yourself. Make sure you're okay, because then you'll always make sure other people are okay.
Yeah.
Because that's in your heart, right?
Mm-hmm. What is one thing that you can share that after experiencing, just not helping, not saying not helping, but just identifying that, hey, it's about now. It's about Oneta now and nurturing her. What is one thing that you say that you do to do your self-care?
I take long walks. I think, I'm not young. I used to run 5 miles. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to hurt my body like that anymore. But now I take long walks. I mean, my family knows that when I have to take a walk, I have to mentally rebalance myself. And we do a lot in this community. You do too. And my friends, we all get together. We try to do everything. Then you go to work. We go to the office lounge and we work. And I love it there. And but it's a lot of energy. And to reconnect with myself with that energy, I have to take walks. My husband, however, takes bubble baths, but I take walks.
Wow.
He takes bubble baths.
Look, there's nothing wrong with
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Right, you gotta do what you gotta do. However, if the bubbles soothe you, hey, so be it.
If it's a bubble bath or a walk, find time for yourself and just meditate.
Mm-hmm.
People do yoga, so do something for yourself.
Now, I had the opportunity of working with you, and I know that you're a hustle and bustle woman. How do you turn it off?
Oh God, how do I turn it off? I think you have to take me away. You have to really take me on a vacation or take me. It's hard to be in your own town and turn it off, because it's just we have a beautiful team of staff that works for the office, and we have just so many other people that help us in our lives, and it's hard to not think about them and making sure that their lives are okay and different projects that we're on. So I think the best is just to take vacations. We just had a honeymoon and it was really nice, but just to get away, put the phone down. Don't be on your iPhone. And it's nice. It's nice. It's actually really nice.
Yeah. And then when you come back, the work is there.
Oh my God. It's horrible. Why did I leave?
Right. But then too, you know what? We have to still think about that. When I come back, let me just go with the moment. Let me just be in the moment and not think about experiencing or oh my gosh, I shouldn't have taken away. I got so much to catch up on. And then now you're setting your mind up I'm not taking vacations anymore because I always come back.
I come back and it's a mess. It's a mess. Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I have such a great team. We have such a great team here. Malia and Kai and our office team, they're just fantastic. Nicole, Jaden's Latter-day team, but and JD, and it's just we can take a break, but things happen, right? And but you got to just realize that God blessed us with that little time off, now we're able to take on, the precious of life again. So we'll just wait for the next vacation.
Right.
Or, actually start doing staycations. That's what we were doing for a minute. Taking off and getting a hotel room for one night, even that it's a mile away, and, just stay away and put your iPhones down and chill. Staycations are nice too.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you're at the staycation, let's no, you're really there, even I think that's kind of like you have to trick your mind. Like, I'm in Hawaii, but I'm in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Right?
Pretend. Let's
Right.
pretend.
So as a business owner and as a woman business owner, have you always felt supported in your endeavors?
No, I think we have this situation currently, recently, where because you're a woman, people talk to you a certain way.
Mhm.
And I was like, Dan, my husband, I was like, if he was to talk to if people came at him and he talked a certain way, he'd be known as like, wow, he's a strong man.
Mhm.
But if I'm like very firm, this is what I want, this is how I want it done, which allows it to be successful. She's a bitch. She's this. She's that. Oh, don't deal with Oneta. She's crazy or whatever. But so I think there are two sides to the, to that element. I've had to learn not to worry about what people say and just get the job done.
Mhm.
And then the end product is what's gonna showcase what the hard work and whatever. And the people that were calling you the bitch, being negative, are people that honestly, I really don't care. And the people that are supportive, they understand, and they will understand. And it's interesting because by the time that another woman gets in that position, and maybe she called me a bitch or whatever, or like, oh, she was hard on me, or she was this, they get in that same position and they're like, wow, I get it.
Yeah.
And then the men that are in control of, let's say, the situation, or you're partnered up with them, some men, they treat you differently. They don't realize I'm an owner, especially being Black in this community, Black and Asian. I'll be in my restaurant, people, and I bust tables. I clean my tables. My husband cleans our tables, and they think we are we're busters and cleaners. and then it's funny how they change when somebody's like, oh, she's the owner, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine, it's cool, that's the way you want to be, it's fine, but this is how I run my restaurant. We would never do anything we would tell a dishwasher to do. We wash dishes, we cook, we clean floors, bartend it, and we love it. And so the biggest thing is just when people see us and they see color, and don't realize that we are the people that actually own the business. It's kind of interesting.
I'm just thinking back to what you said about women. When a man can say pretty much whatever he wants.
Oh my God, yeah.
But when the woman says something, she's like the angry Black woman or the angry person. But you know what? It's not that. What it is fighting through these stereotypes on which people are already putting on us in the first place, and it's like, hey, I'm not listening to what you have to say. I'm determined to finish my goal. I'm determined to accomplish X, Y, and Z. So when you come to me and you can't accept me as who I am or my response to you, it's not being angry. It's people like you who have that me being the bee or me being angry. It's not that. It's about me making sure that I finish
the
goal.
Yeah.
And I'm not only doing it for myself, I'm doing it for my family, and I'm doing it for the community, because this is something that's needed. And it's that double-edged sword where women, we have to work just as hard or 3 times as harder. Can I just get an interview, or can I get a meeting? Can I get something set up? We're working so hard, so by the time we get that meeting, we have to come correct, because you don't know if you're ever going to get the opportunity again.
We have to be more prepared, more determined, more everything. My GM that works for me at the restaurant, we had a customer came in and she's like, oh my God, that guy interviewed me. But saw, who knew what he saw? And he's a great guy, whatever. But who knew what he saw? And she came to me, and when she was like, she wasn't given a chance because of her look, right? And and she's one of the, now everybody's going out, they want her now.
Yeah.
Once they saw that, oh wow, she's great. But it takes somebody to give that person the opportunity and believe in them beyond the look.
Right.
And say, you know what, I know, I could see talent. I can see that you have heart. You know, when people come into my restaurant, I have a 95% black restaurant. It's black owned, black chef, black, and people, like, it's weird. They kind of like, we had one customer that walked in and said, can I see the chef? And when he saw me, can I see the owner? And saw me and turned around and walked out. And I was like, wow, like in this day and age, this is still happening, you know? But I'm like, and then when you really think about it, you really don't want them as your customers, right? The customer base that we have right now are so, especially during Corona and everything that's going on, so amazing. White, black, whatever color, they don't see it. They come in, they support, and they support because they know that we work really hard. And that's, you know, that's all that matters at this point.
You know, just talking about that, it makes me think back to when I first moved here to New Hampshire and how, you know, I would go to the grocery store with my kids and then people would just stare at us like, basically like, what are you doing here? Or if we just, you know, landed off a UFO or something. It's like that feeling that you take, it's like kind of that first feeling that you get when you're in a new place. You take that with you for a very long time.
Yeah.
You begin to question yourself, like, do you belong here? Or like, am I supposed to be here? Am I supposed to be doing these things and that thing? And some people, they leave. You know, some people, they're like, you know, I don't see any BIPOC people. I don't see any Black and brown people that are here. How can I raise my family here when I can't identify with the surroundings? And again, it's just that perception or that look and not getting to know who that person is. And here it is, you know, we've been here almost 10 years and I finally feel as though my feet are getting wet and I've had to work, you know, like 3-4 times as hard to get whatever it is that I want. And I just want, you know, just not only to share with you, but share to those who are listening, that when you begin to migrate or implant in other states, you have to, one thing I would recommend is to look at the culture that's there.
Yeah.
Because I went to Google and I saw that, I always talk about this. I saw the 2% or less here in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
But you don't know what that looks like until you start your everyday interaction.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, okay, all right, 2%, where are they? You know, it's like, hey.
But you know what though, Cora? If it wasn't you and me and our families here, that 2% would be 0%. The next person that came would be like, oh my God, what? Right. So we have to stick through it. Thank God you stayed here for 10 years and now you're just starting to feel the love. But you know what? It's like, it's hard. I mean, it's hard. But imagine the other people coming in that are like us and they didn't have us to be there it's, you know what I mean? Not to say we're Rosa Parks of Rye and the Seacoast area, but if they didn't see us like this and we didn't do our path and you're not on the radio, you're not on TV, I'm not doing restaurants, my husband's not doing video, then there's nobody to lead the path, right? So that young kid that came in because his parents moved him here wouldn't see a role model. So no matter how hard, you got to come here and you got to make changes. That's what God sent us here for, you know, and whatever kind of tribulations and crap that they throw at us and punches, we just take them and keep moving on. Yeah. And that's what's going to allow the next family to come in. That's going to be easier. And they're going to see a Black, like the kid that wants to be a chef is going to see that my chef is at my restaurant and he's Black and go, God, I could be that person. Yes. You know, the next kid, little girl is going to look at you and say, I could be on the radio. I could be on TV. You know what I mean? That's what we need to do.
Absolutely.
Don't avoid it. Just go to it.
Go through it. No, just go, right?
Yeah. Don't avoid it. Yeah.
And I'm so glad, you know, I say that. I kind of like to tell people that it's kind of like in the beginning, you go through that hard part and, you know, you're doubting yourself, asking yourself those questions. But then once you get that breakthrough, I think it's much easier because now people are, again, like you said, recognizing, and you're seeing more families that are moving here, although it may not be as many as they would like to see, but we're here and we're successful and we're doing things. So again, it's just setting the tone and being the Rosa Parks and you know, and not getting up, not moving.
Yeah,
You're
no.
just staying determined that, hey, I have something to share. I have something to give. This is the passion that I'm going to share. And here we are, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we've both been knocked down, and
Yeah.
we've totally both been knocked down, and to get back up and for people to see that, then we are role models.
Yeah.
Not that we meant to be that, but we are that. And so you just have to keep doing it, because you don't, I mean, so many times I run into people and they're like, gosh, I've heard this, or I've heard your story, or, you know, I want, even at the restaurant, you know, divorcees come in and we talk and they're just like, you know, if it wasn't for you. And when you're going through it, you think it's so bad and that nobody's watching and nobody cares, but then people are watching you fight. And I had so many, I had so many people that can't, one time at my restaurant at the bar, I think I'm anonymous, I think whatever, nobody knows me. And then somebody said, we are so happy to be here. We've been watching you fight, and we've been watching you, and we've been supporting you. And it was a stranger, and it made me cry. Wow. You know, and I was standing back in the bar crying, and I'm like, these people, they do care. The Seacoast area, it's not about black and white most of the time. Yeah, I mean, sometimes we feel it because that's our skin color, but there's a lot of love here. Yeah. I wouldn't be here if there wasn't love here.
Right.
You know?
Right. Speaking of love, I love for you to share with me your favorite quote.
My favorite quote?
Yes.
Oh, geez, damn. What's my favorite quote? My favorite quote. There is a quote, and I wish I remembered it. It's Oprah. It's an Oprah quote, and my girlfriend used to tell me, and it's something about a limo. Like, for all those people that used to ride in the limo, they're not there when you're like like when you have to take a bicycle or something like that. And it was this great quote, and I'll send it to you so you can mention it next time. But it's so funny because I just had the quote, and it was about Oprah and the limo. And Google Oprah and the quote in the limo. It's pretty. Google that bit. It was and it's something about like for all those people that always like ride with you. Mm-hmm. While you have the limo, but when you don't have the limo, who's riding with you, right? And it's pretty much what we just talked about. Yeah. But yeah, I said it wrong, but you can Google it.
And it's funny that you say that because I asked one of my sons. I was like, "Hey,
I have it, Danny.
Okay, go ahead.
Everyone wants to ride with you in the limo, but what you want is someone who will take the bus with you when the limo breaks down."
Exactly.
Queen Oprah.
I love that. It's like, hey, you want to ride with me when I have a Pinto?
That's right. Who knows what a Pinto was? Raise your hand.
You have that Pinto, and you have the power land. And those are the kind, and that goes back to the beginning of the conversation where you say you had to learn about loyalty too.
Yeah, there you go, girl. Yeah,
learning that loyalty. All right. Oh, before we get out of here, tell us where we can find you on social media.
Oh my gosh, Oneta, Jaden's mom. I'm or the Office Lounge NH. But just hit me up at the office. Come in, have a cocktail, tell me your story. But where am I? Facebook. I'm Oneta Modern now on Facebook. So yeah, just hit me up. Talk to me if you have questions, if you want advice. You could sit on the handlebars of my bike. I love you. I love it.
I love it.
Remember that sitting on the handlebars? Oh my God.
I do.
Kids don't know that these days.
Where you how you have someone riding on the back and they're standing up and I remember. I remember.
Kids don't know that. They don't know what we went through.
Right. No, they don't. Yeah. Thank you
so much Courtney,
for joining me on this evening. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Been great. Thank you guys out there watching for participating and listening in. We're wishing you peace, love, and community, and have a great evening. Bye, everyone.